In this week's episode of the podcast, Dani of Picnicwear joined me to break down why new sweaters just aren't that great these days. And humble brag here, we were kind of a great pair to do that because Dani has been a sweater designer for multiple fast fashion brands, and I have managed the sweater category as a buyer at multiple fast fashion brands. So we brought a lot of behind the scenes knowledge about what happens to sweaters in the design and buying process that makes them not so great. So you should go give that a listen. And if you want the TLDR version of that episode, you can check out my previous post from yesterday about why sweaters just aren't that great these days. It looks just like this graphic. Okay, so one thing we revisited time and time again during the episode is that price isn't often a great indicator of a high quality sweater, right? Like, I think we have this idea that better things are more expensive, right? And the reality is, thanks to the fast fashionification of everything we buy, including sweaters, the price on the price tag that we see when we go in the store or on the website is really more of a branding moment than an indicator of the quality of the item. And that's because in the fast fashion era, with the fast fashion business model, the plan from moment one is that most units of a style are going to sell on sale. So the price tag might say $88 on the sweater, but production, design, the buyers, everyone is planning that most of those sweaters are probably going to sell for half off or less. And so what they're doing is, rather than making a sweater that is highly profitable at $88, which it still is, they're making a sweater that's highly profitable at $40, but says $88 on the price tag. And that means you lose a lot of quality along the way. So I wanted to show you two examples of sweaters from the internet where the price may not be a great indicator of the quality when we dig into it a little bit more. And I'll just say, if you'd like me to do more of these videos, holler, tell me in the comments, because I could do this all day. It's really fun to me. So let's start with this fireside tunic from Free People. It is so cute. It looks really cozy, and it is not cheap at $168. That's for sure. And I wondered, it's $168. It looks really cute in the photo. Is it like wool? Is it alpaca? Could it even be cashmere? Let's take a look. When we scroll down here to the contents section, which is something you should be visiting on every product page every time you're shopping online, because often it can be very surprising, even if it's not a sweater. If you look up here, we see that this sweater is 19% polyamide, which is nylon, 9% polyester, 1% elastin, that is like the stretch in the cuffs, 45% cotton, and 26% acrylic. So in summary, this sweater is mostly synthetic. It is 100% not recyclable, and it will not biodegrade for hundreds of years. And the reason this sweater is made of so many synthetic fibers is that it is cheap to make. And polyamide, polyester, these are very lightweight. And when it comes to yarn and sweater pricing, it's not about the amount of yarn you use, it's about the weight of the yarn. So the more polyamide and polyester you put in there, and acrylic as well, the lower the price becomes because the yarn is loftier and more lightweight. And if we go back and look at that picture again, it looks fluffy, it looks lofty. I see the nylon and the polyester at play here. You know, the thing is, I will tell you as a buyer, a lesson I've learned the very hard way over the years is that customers will say that they want natural fibers like wool or alpaca, but time and time again, they will cast their vote, meaning by spending their money, on these synthetic blends because they feel fluffier and cozier. And in fact, in the fast fashion era, we've kind of come to associate the feeling of nylon and polyester mixed with other fibers as a cozy feeling. It's weird, right? So, okay, I look at the sweater, it's $168. Based on my experience as a buyer and knowing the kind of markup that fast fashion brands like Free People take, this sweater probably cost Free People $25 to $30. And That's not just the yarn, that's not just the knitting. We're also talking the freight from overseas, which most likely shipped via air because most fast fashion clothing ships via airplane now. That's usually a couple bucks per unit, perhaps more if it's a big sweater. So we've got the shipping overseas, we've got labels, we've got freight from the port, we've got boxes and poly bags and customs and duties. This sweater did not cost very much money to make, but even if we say in total the actual make of it was $25, I'm sure a lot of you who knit are like, a sweater for $25? How did anyone get paid along the way, right? It's sketchy for sure. The other thing about Free People specifically is that they also wholesale their brand to other retailers and boutiques. One of their big accounts is Nordstrom. So I wanted to take a look at a Free People sweater at Nordstrom and do the same kind of exercise with you to get to how much we think that sweater cost and why the price on the tag might be a little misleading. This is the Isla Cable Stitch Tunic sweater, and I think some colorways are on sale on Nordstrom right now, but this ivory colorway is $148. And I'll tell you, Nordstrom, well, the wholesale price of this, meaning what boutiques would pay for the sweater, is probably about 50% of that price, so it's like $74. But Nordstrom is a big account. They buy a lot more. That means they would have gotten a discounted price to sell it, so maybe like $65. How much do you think it cost Free People to make this sweater? Well, here's the thing about selling wholesale. Free People is not going to give up profitability because it's selling wholesale. And furthermore, they are going to know one of the risks of running a wholesale business is often at the end of the season, you are left with unsold inventory that you need to sell off at a significant discount. It's not unlike how the regular direct-to-consumer business works for any fast fashion brand. And so with Free People, for example, they're going to sell whatever's left at the end of the year to places like Nordstrom Rack, and they're going to sell it at a significant discount. So Free People engineered this sweater for Nordstrom to sell it for $148, for Nordstrom to buy it from them for about $65. They probably planned that on average, this sweater would sell for about $40, maybe $50, which means, and once again, this is just based on my experience as a buyer, this probably cost anywhere from $12 to $20. And once again, that includes freight, duties, all that other stuff, not just the yarn and the sweater. And the sweater itself is not terrible in terms of like the yarn. It's a mixture of acrylic and cotton. It's not quite the complex blend of the previous one. But, and I don't know if you can see this in the photo, when you look closely, go look at it on this website or go zoom in with your face. It's a very open knit with a lot of like holes, and it's kind of transparent. And that is a classic fast fashion savings strategy, right? So if you open up the knit, it costs less to make because you can make it a lot faster. It uses a lot less yarn, so that's also cheaper. And it weighs less, so it's even cheaper to ship. So it's a win-win across the board. Of course, what that makes for is a sweater that is not very high quality, which brings me to this fabulous review. That's a great review. I hate this sweater. Very poor quality for a sweater at this price point. Not surprising to me. And actually, most of the reviews are pretty bad, with one person saying this is basically Shein quality for $150. So in summary, the decreased quality and awesomeness of sweaters is a direct result of this business model, aka fast fashion, that plans on selling most stuff on sale and therefore delivers and creates product that is really worth the sale price, if it is at all, not the full price. We have to ask ourselves, are we okay with this? Are we going to keep opting into this? Or are we finally going to say enough is enough, stop selling us really low quality, disappointing clothes and do better, and you're not going to get our money until you do? I think it's time for us to take a stand here, right? If you would like me to dissect some more sweaters or other products or brands, tell me in the comments, because like I said, I love doing this. I could do it all day. It allows me to take my experience and knowledge of being a fast fashion buyer and finally use it for